What happens when a powerful CEO loses everything and is forced to start again with nothing but his bare hands? This is the story of Quang, a man once admired for his empire, now humbled by failure, working as a construction laborer just to survive. Yet through the ashes of his downfall, he discovers the true foundation of life: love from Linda, unwavering support from his mother, and the dream of building a home filled with warmth instead of wealth. Subscribe now and join us on this emotional journey of loss, resilience, and the power of family. Quang had once stood at the very top of the corporate ladder. His name used to appear on business magazines, his face on the covers that praised him as a visionary CEO who built an empire with his bare hands. Yet those days had crumbled like sand slipping through his fingers. After a devastating bankruptcy, the glittering world of suits, conference rooms, and luxury cars was gone. What remained was a man stripped of titles, walking into the harsh reality of survival. Every morning, Quang put on a faded work shirt and heavy boots instead of tailored suits, carrying a toolbox instead of a leather briefcase. His hands, once used to signing million-dollar contracts, now bore calluses and dust, evidence of endless hours under the scorching sun. On the construction site, he was no longer Mr. Quang, CEO. He was just another worker, blending into the rows of men who lifted bricks, mixed cement, and hammered steel. Sweat soaked his back as he bent under the weight of concrete blocks. The jeers of those who recognized him echoed now and then, some mocking, others pitying. Isn't that the man who used to own a company downtown? Look at him now, hauling bricks like the rest of us. Each word cut him. Yet, strangely, Quang did not fight back. He had no energy to defend the pride that had already burned to ashes. What kept him standing was not ambition, but love, the unwavering devotion of Linda. Every afternoon, when his body ached and his palms stung with blisters, Quang would see her waiting at the corner of the site. She always carried a small lunchbox or a thermos of soup, her smile brighter than the sunset behind her. Linda never once complained about the loss of luxury, the fall from riches to rags. Instead, she treated each day as a new beginning, wiping the sweat from his forehead, pressing his rough hands into hers as though she was holding something precious. "You're still the man I love," she whispered often, her voice steady, unshaken by the ruins of their past life. And then there was his mother, the quiet pillar who stood even taller than the skyscrapers he once dreamed of building. She had once been proud to introduce him to neighbors as her successful son, the CEO. But when all of that collapsed, she did not sigh in disappointment or scold him for his failures. She simply placed her wrinkled hand on his shoulder and said, "You're still my son. Titles come and go. Family doesn't." Every night, she waited for him at the door, a bowl of warm rice ready, the aroma of home-cooked meals filling the small rented house where they now lived. Between the dusty air of construction sites and the warmth of his family's presence, Quang found a strange kind of strength. His pride as a businessman had been shattered, yet he was slowly learning a deeper lesson, that dignity was not measured by wealth or success, but by perseverance and the love that surrounded him. For the first time in years, Quang allowed himself to breathe without the weight of ambition. Even in exhaustion, there was peace. Even in failure, there was love. One late afternoon, when the golden light of the setting sun painted the sky in shades of amber, Quang led Linda and his mother along a narrow dirt path toward the edge of the city. The bustle of traffic and the echo of construction sites faded behind them as the land opened into a quiet stretch of green. Weeds swayed in the breeze, and the scent of soil lingered in the air. At first glance, it was nothing more than an abandoned lot, uneven and wild. But to Quang, it was more than just land. It was a canvas for hope. He stopped, turning to face them, his eyes glimmering with a mixture of fatigue and determination. "Here," he said softly, gesturing to the patch of earth beneath their feet. "This is where I want us to build a house. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be ours." His voice trembled, not from weakness, but from the raw honesty of a man who had lost everything, yet still yearned for something that could not be bought with money. Linda's hand found his almost instantly, her fingers, slender and warm, intertwined with his calloused ones, as though they belonged there all along. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering in the fading light, and smiled. "A home is not about how big the walls are, Quang," she murmured. "It's about who lives inside them. If you build it with love, it will always be beautiful." In that moment, her faith in him wrapped around his weary heart like a blanket, shielding him from the cold winds of doubt. His mother, standing a few steps behind, studied her son quietly. She had watched him chase after glass towers and marble offices, watched him fall when those towers crumbled. Now she was watching something else. Her son standing on bare soil, dreaming of bricks and wood, not for profit, not for prestige, but for family. Slowly, she nodded, her expression softening. "It is enough," she said, her voice carrying the weight of wisdom earned through years of hardship. "A roof to shield us, walls to keep us close, and a table where we can eat together. That is all a family needs." The words settled over Quang like a benediction. For so long, he had measured life by numbers on a balance sheet, by the applause of shareholders, by the cold glow of status. But standing there with Linda's hand in his and his mother's quiet strength beside him, he realized those things had been illusions. True wealth was this, the chance to build something lasting, not out of ambition, but out of love. They spent that evening walking the boundaries of the land, imagining the rooms they would one day fill with laughter. Linda pointed to a spot near the back where she wanted a small garden filled with roses and herbs. His mother suggested a corner for a kitchen that opened to the sunlight so she could cook while watching the day unfold. Quang listened, nodding, already sketching their dreams in his mind. For the first time since his fall, he felt alive, not as a businessman plotting profit, but as a man envisioning a future that mattered. As the sky deepened into twilight, the three of them stood together in silence, gazing at the empty plot. To any passerby, it was just dirt and weeds, but to them, it was the beginning of a home, the seed of a new life planted in the soil of loss. Quang squeezed Linda's hand, glanced at his mother, and whispered to himself, "This time, I will build something that cannot be taken away." Weeks turned into months, and little by little, the barren patch of earth transformed under Quang's hands. Every day, after finishing long hours at the construction site, he would come here with Linda and his mother. The ground, once overrun with weeds, began to take shape as a foundation. Quang's rough palms, already hardened from labor, laid bricks with a care that felt almost sacred. Each brick was not just stone and mortar, it was a promise, a vow to rebuild, not for wealth or pride, but for the people he loved most. The work was slow, exhausting, yet strangely fulfilling. Linda would kneel beside him, mixing cement, her laughter spilling across the quiet air whenever her clumsy attempts left streaks of gray on her cheeks. Quang would chuckle softly, brushing the cement away with his thumb, feeling in that tiny gesture more love than he had ever felt in the grand ballrooms of his former life. His mother, too, contributed in her own gentle ways, cooking meals for them when the days stretched long, bringing water to cool their throats, and humming old lullabies while they worked. The three of them moved in rhythm, as though the house was not being built by hands alone, but by the harmony of their hearts. Slowly, walls rose where there had once been only open sky. Wooden beams stretched upward, catching the golden light of dawn and dusk. When the final roof was finally nailed in place, Quang stood back, his chest swelling with a pride he had not felt in years. This pride was different, softer, deeper. It did not demand recognition from strangers, nor did it need validation from the world. It was the quiet pride of a man who had fallen and risen again, not on the pedestal of ambition, but on the solid ground of love and family. In the evenings, they would sit together on the porch, wooden chairs creaking softly beneath them as the sky blazed with colors of sunset. Birds returned to their nests, and the cicadas began their nightly song. Quang would lean back, tired yet at peace, listening to Linda's laughter as she teased his mother about her cooking, or watching his mother's eyes crinkle in contentment as she gazed at the home they had created. Sometimes silence fell between them, but it was not an empty silence. It was full, rich with unspoken gratitude. One evening, as the last light of the sun slipped below the horizon, Quang looked at his hands. The scars, the blisters, the stains of labor, they told the story of his downfall and his rebirth. For so long, he had believed that power and success were the measures of his worth. But now, sitting on the porch of a house built with love, surrounded by the two people who had never abandoned him, he understood. True wealth was not money, nor titles, nor applause. It was here, in the laughter of Linda, in the steady love of his mother, in the quiet heartbeat of a home. For the first time in years, Quang felt whole. He no longer feared the past, nor did he chase the future with desperate hunger. The house behind him, the garden around him, and the warmth beside him were enough. He had lost everything once, only to find what truly mattered, family. And in their embrace, he discovered that even broken men could build again, this time not with ambition, but with love that no storm could ever wash away.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Mí Tử Ninda Review. Vậy là sau khi trải qua những ngày mất tích và những chuỗi ngày đầy sóng gió đứng trước việc phá sản và không còn là CEO nữa, thì Quang đã nhận ra trong cuộc đời này thì sự bình yên bên cạnh mẹ và Ninda mới là điều quý giá nhất đối với cuộc đời anh. Anh không còn tham vọng quá lớn về vấn đề sự nghiệp hay tiền bạc nữa. Bây giờ ước mong của anh đó chính là xây được một căn nhà nhỏ đón mẹ và Ninda về ở cùng với mình và sống một cuộc sống bình dị giữa đời thường. Liệu rằng ước mơ của anh có thành hiện thực hay không? Tất cả sẽ được hé lộ ở các tập tiếp theo, sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày vào lúc 8 giờ sáng giờ Việt Nam trên kênh Lý Tử Linda Review. Các bạn hãy đón xem nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Bye bye!